In this video, I'm going to go over a new study from Spotify that says Marquee delivers 10 times more listeners per dollar than social ads on average. And so we're going to just comb through this article. I'm going to give you my opinions on this. Big thanks to Sam, who is the creative director or creative product and brand marketing, head of creative product and brand marketing at Spotify, for DMing this to me. Cool guy. He did an interview with Ari Herstand a little while back and apparently watched my channel. So hey Sam, thanks for sending this over. But yeah, let's just kind of read through this and see what the data is, what they give us, and then we'll talk about it. So what they did is they worked with 8 labels and distributors over this period of several months, they say months long here, to look at the effectiveness of Marquee versus other digital ads. And I've talked in the past about Marquee. I've shown how you can actually use it. If you want to check out most recent video I have on that there. I do use Marquee for every song. It is a great tool. But I also use Facebook ads for every single song. And I use them both in tandem. And they each have their own perks. Now, I want to clarify some things that you might not know about Marquee. Marquee is only for retargeting. You can't gain brand new fans for Marquee. It's only retargeting people who've already listened to your music in a certain time period, like in the last year, I think it is. But still, it's really good at retargeting your listeners, especially people who might have just heard you in passing in a playlist or on Discover Weekly or on the radio or whatever. Whereas Facebook ads, usually you're mostly targeting strangers, right? You're trying to get brand new people. So you can kind of use your ads to bring in new people and then make sure you're keeping them engaged with your Marquee. They kind of go hand in hand in that way. If you want to learn more about the Facebook ad thing, you can check out this playlist right here. I have a ton of videos on that. So that's what, Marquee and Facebook ads. So they're saying that per dollar, you can get essentially 10 times more people listening to your music with Marquee. And so here we have this graph here, which is very vague. Spotify listeners per dollar spent. Marquee is 10 times more. Average study seen of 10. So let's see how they actually set up this study, and I'll zoom in so you can get a better look at this. So they used 10 new releases for the study. They did a mix of release types, albums, EPs, and singles from a mix of artist audience sizes, 300,000 monthly listeners to 16 million monthly listeners. Now, right off the bat, I do think that skews things a bit. I found that Marquee, it works a little bit differently for big artists, small artists, just because like the big artists have all this organic stuff coming in, so they have way more people to retarget. But I'll ignore that for now. I just want to bring that up. They also did a mix of genres: rap, electronic, indie, and rock. They picked the right releases after working with these partners, and this is how they conducted the study. They promoted the same release on ads as they did with Marquee. They targeted core audiences with Marquee and with ads. So this is a big distinction. So in the social media ads, they were also, it sounds like, they were only retargeting. At least that's what this sounds like. I might be interpreting this wrong, but no expanded targeting people who have liked or engaged with the artist. So I think that is something that they could have done differently, because that's, retargeting isn't always cheaper, despite what a lot of people think. They did mobile only. That makes a ton of sense. And also Marquee only does mobile. Ads target the same countries as Marquee. This is actually one thing I think Marquee has a great advantage in when it comes to paid marketing, is that Marquee, you can pay a flat rate in an expensive country, whereas if you were to run ads in that country, it might be incredibly expensive, especially if the campaign does poorly. Whereas for Marquee, it'll just be a flat rate, especially the US where it's 50 cents per click. For Marquee, if you're running a Facebook conversion campaign in just the US, 50 cents would be quite good in a lot of cases. Ads were optimized for driving clicks or conversions to the Spotify mobile app, whichever the partner typically used to drive listening. So when they ran their social ads, it sounds like some people were using clicks or link click campaigns, traffic campaigns, and other people were using conversion campaigns. Ads scheduled matched Marquee, so basically they ran these things for the same period of time, and the ad budget matched Marquee. So if they spent $100 in Marquee, they'd spend 100 in ads. If they spent 500 Marquee, they spent 500 in ads. And then they also saying here they wanted this comparison to be as apples as possible. For Marquee, they essentially, Marquee by default keeps collecting data for 14 days after to kind of see how people engage with your music, and they did the same thing for the social ads. I'm not sure how they would have measured that because it's kind of hard to tell in Spotify for artists what came from your ads and what didn't, especially it's just all blended in with your organic, and even your Marquee you can't really split out inside of Spotify for artists. Obviously you see the Marquee stats for the campaign. Now they have the results here, and this is where I get a little sad. The reason is I would have liked to have just the raw data dump of all these campaigns, because you'll notice here, there's no graphs. There's some 20x, 10x. There's no real numbers, and there's no real data. On average, Marquee delivered 10x more Spotify listeners for every dollar. Not only did Marquee deliver more listeners on average per dollar, it also resulted in more listeners per click. Essentially, there's a drop off between every conversion or click you get and what happens in terms of streaming. It's clear that Marquee not only drives streams at a higher conversion rate and a lower cost per listener, it helps us foster meaningful ongoing connection with fans and art. Now, that's true. I mean, like, Marquee does a great thing for retargeting your fans. The higher conversion rate, it does have quite a high conversion rate, but I'm kind of hesitant about the cost, because they've said it's so much cheaper, but without looking at the exact campaigns they ran, like, it's kind of hard to know, like, is this really an apples to apples study? Like, they used, like, Marquee is a retargeting tool, right? So they're running a retargeting ad. But that's not really what you would typically do with social media. And also that social media ad, there's a huge difference in conversion rates between a traffic campaign and a conversion campaign. So it's a big difference. Like, saying that they blended the two together, like, that makes sense, but only if you dump all the data out. Like, if they literally provided all the stats for the Marquees per song, all the Facebook or social media ad campaigns per song, with all the data, they can make it anonymous and just provide it in a giant Excel spreadsheet. I, and probably a lot of people that watch this channel, would actually go through that data and do a comparison, because we don't really care which one is better. We just want to know, like, which one is better in certain circumstances, right? If it actually is true that you get 10 times more results per dollar, that's fantastic to know, because then I'd be telling people, like, max out your Marquee every single time you have it. So that's kind of my biggest bummer about this study. So, moral of the story, I'm really glad that Spotify is looking into this stuff and running studies. I just really wish, and I did, like, look around a bit for this, if there is a way to just straight up get this data. And so I'll probably email Mr. Sam because he seems like a cool guy. We've only talked briefly through DMs and stuff, but if I can even get some data, probably not, just because Spotify is a big corporation and I wouldn't expect that kind of thing, but, like, it would be amazing if, like, the artist community could just have access to data like that, so we could run our own studies and make our own graphs and make our own blog posts and make our own YouTube content around that. But really glad Spotify's doing this. Hopefully we see more data going forward. If you want to learn more about how to run Marquee, you can check out this playlist right here. And if you want to learn more about how to run Facebook ads for your music on Spotify, Apple Music, etc., you can check out this playlist right here. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.